So on to Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 109, the Shibuya incident part 27. So this chapter, I mean, surprise, surprise, we thought Maki was getting a solo dub on this guy, but no, it looks like Nanami and whatever dude's name is not out for the count. Um, they and once again, like we didn't want to happen. Megumi is somehow trying to do some shit. But I appreciate his save, I guess. But the last part, y'all, he's motherfucking back, bro. These niggas are going to die, bro.
Yeah, like
Toji Zen'in shows up. I think this is gonna be spectacular for the story. One, I'm glad it's happening now. I'm glad Megumi is there, and I'm glad the head of the Zen'in family is there because I think we're gonna get two great dialogues here. Like Megumi talking to his dad for the first time probably ever, or in a long time, if they even talked before like the whole thing happened. And then two, Toji talking to the head of the Zen'in clan, who basically, I don't know if he was the head back then, but if he was, that's basically the dude who was like, you ain't shit, like,
yeah.
because you have no curse power. So I'm excited. I don't know
No,
about you.
yeah, this is. I mean, this took like it was such a hardcore plot twist. I mean, like it's not that I forgot he was here, but at the same time, it's like he definitely wasn't in the forefront, nor did I think he would have like any impact on this like battle itself. So it's like one of those
Right.
situations where they're like in a battle or about to start a battle where you know like both opposing sides, and then something just happens where one of those opposing sides just gets like obliterated, and like the real like enemy appears, and like that's what I feel like is exactly what's going to happen. They're like having like this pretty much like hardcore trouble with this cursed spirit, and homie's just going to show up, just be like, it's going to be so nice being in a domain expansion again, you know what I mean? And he's just going to just like slap like effing Cthulhu or something. Like I literally
Right.
see that happening, and then they're just going to be like, wow, we got to go up against this mother effing now, and
Exactly.
then
Exactly. And
so
that's my thing is like I totally see what you're saying. Like he'll eliminate this whale guy, but then at the same time it's like, yo, even bigger threat. And like, can they take him? But I do think this is probably like a better fight to showcase what the Zenin guy could do, and even Nanami, because I think without this, you know what I'm saying? Like this dude doesn't have domain expansion. It's gonna be like a beautiful fight because the way Toji fights is literally just like
oh
outsmarting people with weapons. So he's
right.
basically against two weapons experts, Maki and Nanami, and then this guy with his like unique jujitsu power. So I think it's a way better fight than the Cthulhu to me, because it's like, okay, we're just gonna see strictly hands here. So also when this gets hit in the anime, like it's gonna go crazy, but it is what it is. You there?
Content alone is like maddening. Like it's gonna pop off so hard.
Oh
Like
yeah,
oh my god, it's about to be
yeah. I
effing
think this shit is about to
nuts.
be crazy.
Right. Like I mean, at first, like based on how the chapter was going, I was actually like slowly getting disappointed in the sense that it's like snap. So they really are going to do like a complete versus of like the whole squad, versus effing Cthulhu over here. I'm like, really? You can't give homie the highlights? And then it was like, whoop. Okay, now we know why it's necessary. Okay.
Right?
And Told
I'm
just
ready.
literally just gets his hands up in there. Let's get up in this kid. I'm like,
Right?
oh snap! Like, are you kidding?
Poster's not ready at all.
I'm saying, like, just imagine like the end of the anime episode and this happens. You know what I mean? It's
Oh
like
yeah, like
it's like it's moments like those that like I would be pissed off if I'm actually watching like week to week and I couldn't
right.
just see what happens next because that
How he's about to
cliffhanger,
go in. Oh
oh
yeah.
like that, I could already imagine that like the week gap that I'm gonna have, like wanting to see the next episode, is gonna be like crazy. Be like, oh
Right.
my god, it's gonna be monstrous. But snap, this is crazy. I mean, if anything, though, I honestly didn't think they were going to still put this much respect on Cthulhu, because
Mhm.
I mean, it really was looking like, I mean, most of them were just about necessary, and then especially since that like their game plan was just running away from the domain expansion, I was really surprised. So, I mean, like right now, in a sense, it's like they they put a lot of respect on Cthulhu, and then they took a lot of respect from like the head of the Zen'in clan, Maki, and even the Nami in a way. And then it's like I feel uncomfortable about it, but I feel like
Yeah.
now they at least have a chance to get it back if they
Right.
play this right against Toji. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting up in the air, but at least it's like, okay, there's still hope and like no hope at the same time. So I mean, it's got me like definitely on the fence. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, I'm hyped in that sense.
Yeah. And then I was also a little bit surprised at how he lost his arm too. I was like, oh, I didn't even know dude
Yeah, true.
lost his arm off that. Like, I wonder if that's going to be permanent or if they're going to introduce another concept or like maybe even another sorcerer who can heal those types of wounds. Because if dude is not going to die after this, which I'm debating whether or not like the author will take it there, because the way he's writing the story, he definitely could take it to where dude is not leaving this thing alive, like because of Toji, and then he's just been kind of like playing with the Zen'in family a lot. So to
True.
me, him being the head, then you go like, I don't know if there's any other, if we've met all of the Zen'in sorcerers right now, but if we have, then it's like a Maki, that sister, and Megumi kind of like, all right, who's taking the next generation forward kind of thing, which he
True.
could have been setting up this whole time because we spent a lot of time talking about them. So I'm
That's
like,
true.
if dude does survive, we could be introduced to another sorcerer who could heal wounds of that capacity, or he'll forever be like that. I don't know. And then two, just like I think as far as the Zen'in family goes, like this is their arc right here. So
Yeah. No, that's facts. I mean, if you look at like the series as a whole for like Jujutsu Kaisen, this is like, all part of the climax slash like not like end of the arc, it's still going obviously, but like this kind of is like the main arc of like Jujutsu Kaisen, at least like so far, you know what I mean? And like a part of that arc is like all kind of Zen'in related, all starting back with the flashback with Gojo and Toji. So
right.
it's definitely interesting to that respect. So they're putting big ups on the Zen'in, and then even by not really showing him a lot, still big ups on Gojo. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's all kind of I don't know. I don't have like any good reference as far as like what this is kind of similar to at the moment, but it's like those are like the big focus, just how big and powerful Gojo is, how significant the Zen'in fam has on like this world of Jujutsu Kaisen, and then just like the natural opposing enemies and the cursed spirits, playing it on that part. So I mean, hey, this is all lit stuff, in my opinion. So, I mean, if anything, it just makes me almost like curious, like once all this is over, how the series is like, gonna bring up the next big thing. You know what I mean? Unless
Oh
it's
yeah.
just gonna be like another focus on a family, or they're gonna keep it like that kind of like system going as far as like how the plot works in general for Jujutsu Kaisen. But it's all very exciting. So definitely big ups to them again.
All right. Yeah, I mean I'm ready to rate it.
Yeah, yeah, same.
Uh, I think I give this chapter like probably a decent as hell, but definitely Toriko on a hype.
Mm.
Like it was a good chapter. I might be inflating the rating a bit just because of the hype for Toji at the end. That's why I had to call out Toriko on the hype because I
Sure.
definitely was in here audible like, yo, this shit is about to crack next chapter. But I did enjoy to see that like even though it made it seem in the last chapter like this whale Cthulhu was basically able to just like knock these dudes out for the count, they were able to pretty much turn around really quick. Like Nami looks horrible, and so does the other dude. So that was there putting a little bit of respect on Cthulhu. I think you said that earlier, but I appreciate the fact that they weren't just like one and done. Like, but
Oh,
after they
true.
pretty much just got hyped up like a few chapters earlier, like they each got a hype up chapter. So I appreciated that. And then like the Megumi thing, I liked how they finessed him a bit, where it was just like he's kind of like helping them get out and not really assisting with the fight. I appreciated that part of it because I felt like if he started assisting, it just wouldn't have made any sense after basically seeing Nanami and Dude get curb stomped. Only other negative I had on the chapter was just I do feel like they kind of played a little bit with the storytelling there, with how suddenly now like his ability within the domain expansion kind of like wasn't really used because he sent those two dragons at them, and it just seemed like Nanami and the other Zenin guy were able to kind of just hold it off instead of what was happening before, where it was just like an immediate like you got kind of thing. So there was some like weird plot holiness to me there, or just something that needs some explanation as far as like domain expansion goes. But that was it.
Yeah, I would definitely attribute to that sense because I think I'm trying to remember, but he did say, oh, okay. So on one of the panels, he does say like Death Swarm, the guaranteed hit
Mhm.
for this domain is gone. So I think
Uh,
that like for whatever Megumi like is doing, it's still a little unsure, Jujutsu Kaisen confusion.
yeah.
But in any sense, it's like I think like a fact of whatever Megumi's doing is negating his guaranteed hit ability, which is why
Uh,
like he's trying to like at least like for a hot second was trying to get rid of Megumi to really like get his guaranteed hits get back going because he probably
uh,
at least what from what they're insinuating that's pretty much like his winning card. Like it doesn't look like they have any good counter to that still yet. Um, in any case, as far as my rating goes, I would give it. I think I would give it a solid. Damn, it's tough. Hmm. I think I think I would give it. Yeah, I'll just give it a straight decent sell.
okay.
I still don't like. I mean, it still bothers me how they like put that disrespect on most of the crew. So I mean, I just can't get over that. Granted, I'm not blind to the hype of what's about to happen, like the next chapter, or even like the next two chapters, maybe even the next three chapters, with like Toji really being out to like start to shine. So I mean,
Uh,
like that's bright in my mind. Like I'm ready for it. But I mean, they took out one arm of the main Zen'in family just like that. I mean, pretty much reminded me of like what the third Raikage, as far as like how like Sasuke was able to like to jack that arm from him, and like that arm was gone, like that wasn't coming back. Like like I know like at
right.
least at the point, like some people would be like, oh yeah, just maybe like some medic ninjutsu to give him something. Like no, like he like resumed the series with a missed arm. Like one of like the strongest characters we've been introduced to, and I'm getting like kind of like the same vibes. And I'm just like, damn, do they really just like take this homie's arm in like his first debut fight where he should be like a monster? So I mean, I can't just like let that go. You know what I mean?
Right.
If
But I
not,
feel
I
like
would
with
have.
the pacing of the show, they be on that though. Like I
Okay.
they kind of pace certain things like where it's like it feels like it's too soon for stuff like that to be happening. Like I felt like we went from like wondering why Gojo was so OP to like his backstory like very quickly, in my opinion. Like I'm not saying I was like mad at it though, but I do think like in other series that probably would have happened much slower. Like we would have got to know him a little bit more, and then we would have done that. But it was like here's a villain. We've been wondering about him. I just feel like all of that happened very fast for like those first 100 chapters. That I just go like, I don't know. Ghetto seemed like a pretty major villain to me. And like now we're basically at the arc of like, I don't know if they're gonna overcome him at this one, if he's going to escape and it's gonna get deeper to the plan. But I just go, what's after Ghetto? Like just even
Right.
thinking in my mind, just go like, what's after this dude?
Right. I mean, it depends on like how you want to think about it. But it's like if Ghetto's like that, fuck, I just had it. If he's like Aizen, you know what I mean? Where
Right.
it's like he's like always kind of like the main villain of the series, but like part of
Yeah.
his scheme is getting other big hitters to like be arcs until
Right.
he comes out. Then
Mm-hmm.
in that sense, I guess if they want to go with that flow, I can kind of see that. Where like Ghetto's plan is in action to use these select her spirits. He does like pretty much all of his plan, ends up doesn't working. Somehow he knew that, well, I knew it was a possibility his plan wasn't going to work, and he has like an exit strategy until like the next arc.
Right.
So maybe they like used some kind of pacing like that, where it would be, I guess, perfect in that sense for Toji to come back, because like he would just be like another factor. Granted, I mean Toji's like that wild card where you can literally go either way, where you can either like help out Ghetto's plan or be the opposite. So it all depends on like what Toji's feeling, I guess, kind of at that moment.
Mhm.
So I mean, that'll definitely have a big play there. Again, for the chapter though, I mean, like I said, I mean, like Nanami, as you said, like it looks like homies. It's tough to say, but I mean, if he lost an eye, I mean, that's kind of a big deal in my opinion. And then like Zenny fan like lost like a whole arm. So I mean, like those after this fight is over, if they all actually survive, which is quite debatable to be honest.
Right.
Um,
Very debatable.
I mean, like they're taking like some serious. I guess you could call it downgrades as far as like the future work they're gonna have, in my opinion. Like whether it be like, Maki or Megumi actually like you said, possibly becomes the successor to the household, like after all this is over, something like that. But I mean, again, it's just I still feel like again it's too soon. Nanami maybe because we've seen his lights, but like the head of the Zen'in fam, and you're supposed to guy who just like continues to bring the heat. But I mean, if he's just like half of this fight, it's like, oh, that's unfortunate, I guess. But in any case, another big thing was I wanted Maki to get more for ups. I was excited for like her to get shine too, and I mean I feel like she has to do it with Toji if they have any hope in like winning. Like everyone's going to need to be on their A game, so I'm looking for that hope again. But as far as this chapter goes, technically, I mean she still like didn't show up to like what we wanted her to do. So I mean, again, just can't have that be ignored. But I mean, it still gets a decent as hell. Don't get me wrong. I mean, like the hands were like still out there. Like ever since, and plus, ever since you mentioned the last chapter about like in the anime, there's like a sound effect when like Nanami does like his ability. I could just like always, I always now imagine the sound effect now, and it's just like, oh, that's gonna be dope.
I'll tell you, they're gonna change it when that enemy drops. Yeah.
I mean, like even just him like slicing that fish, just like a quick like, you just like see the fish cut. I'll be like, nah. Like, I'm ready. But I mean, it's still good. Let's just hope it keeps going. It's still good.
Right. Yeah, and I think with the Maki part, like I think it's actually better that it's not the whale homie anyways, because they just set him up so it's like Maki would definitely take a L. But I think with Toji is better because they're similar in fighting style. So I think if he even drops a word of like, oh wow, like like you're good, or I see something, or even tries to teach her something like that, might actually put more respect on her name than we would have actually gotten to see with this whale dude. But that's my thought at least.
Yo, I just saw this just now, but if they did Maki dirty, they could actually run it the opposite ways though. Like, what if Toji just jacks her weapon and brings the smoke?
Oh shit, that'd be great.
I mean, fuck. I mean, like he could. I mean, he's literally the perfect person to be like, oh snap, that's actually a pretty sick tool. Drops her real quick, steals it, and actually is able to use it better with it than her.
Right.
Because, like, I don't think homie had a weapon from what we saw. So he could be like, damn, I need something to work with. Oh, there we go. And then it's just like, hands.
Oh, yeah. I could definitely see that happening. And then it's like, yeah, man. I don't know. I'm just too excited for how he's going to write this last chapter. Like, just